Good day guys, welcome to Drux Milan Unboxing. It's a quiet weekend on the international scene, but in South Africa we've got a South African heavyweight title fight going on down on Sunday in Pretoria when the Giant King Ruann Visser takes on the Venda Viper Justice Siliga. How about those nicknames? If the nicknames are anything to go by, then we're up for a cracker. Now the heavyweight scene in South Africa is something that's sort of in a difficult state. It's not quite what it used to be. It's got a big history in South Africa. Of course, we had heavyweights going back to the late 70s, such as Mike Schutte, Gerrie Coetzee, Kali Knutse. After him came Pierre Coetzer and Johnny de Plooy, and then Corrie Sanders. Now, some of them, like Gerrie Coetzee and Corrie Sanders, became world champions. And the rest of those names that I've mentioned were close to it, or at very least they could compete on world level. Now, we don't have that sort of guys, and we don't know if Ruann Visser or Justice Siliga could perhaps be one of those guys. I think most of the people, the jury is kind of out on them, saying no, they're not that level talent. But you don't have to be an absolute top level talent to make for a good fight. People always like the heavyweights. Now, let's start with Ruann Visser. His nickname states for obvious. He's the Giant King. He's 6'9.5", just under 7 foot. I've met the guy a couple of times. He's really tall. He's not a huge, broad, like a heavyweight like some of those guys like Valuev. Oh, he's well proportioned. He's a good sportsman. Used to be a rugby player, but he's really tall. And he's got a record of 15 wins, 2 losses, 14 of them by way of knockout. And he needs to rebuild. He won the South African heavyweight title in 2018 against a very out of shape, listless version of Osborne Mashimana, but when he did, stopped him in 7 rounds. And then there was a failed drug test, a court case. He went through that, came back with a TKO win over Luke Sutherland, and then this year things didn't go so well for him. He lost to 8-5, I think is his record, Zimbabwean in and outer Elvis Moyo. He had a shorter opponent in front of him. He simply just got outboxed. Moyo landed his jab against the taller guy, and Visser never really got going, and he sleepwalked his way to a loss. He's still the South African champion because Moyo is a Zimbabwean national, but he'll have to win on Sunday if he's going to remain the South African champion. Now, Ruann Visser, the obvious thing about him, if you're tall, you've got that kind of reach, then the tactic is simple. You keep the fight on the outside, you jab your opponent to pieces, a la Klitschko, and then you go in for a kill. Now, he had James Ali Bashir, who worked in the Klitschko camp, in his corner over the last couple of fights. Bashir is out. In is Steve Kalakoda. Steve is a local guy here in Cape Town that we know well. He's been around the fight game, not only boxing, also K1 for a long time. He put Ruann with some other heavyweights up in a house here in the Cape Town area. So I think Ruann will definitely be in shape, but I wonder if that really is a problem. You know, against Moyo, he never got going with his jab for some reason. And I've seen him also, I was ringside when he fought Kizito Ruhamye in the Cape Sun. He made that fight very difficult. He was beaten from pillar to post by a much shorter opponent who's really a cruiserweight. And then he got knocked down heavily, and he got up, and then he let fly, and he knocked out Kizito Ruhamye. Now, Ruann has some power. He's got a good right hand. That's what he used to turn the tide against Ruhamye. And the fact that he was knocked down and he could get up and win the fight shows that he's got the heart of a fighter. He's got that at least. Why the loss to Moyo? Why sometimes all these struggles? It could just be that he's a big, tall guy who happens to be a good sportsman, and he's not really a fighter. He doesn't have a talent really to go all the way. Well, he's rebounded after the Moyo loss with a quick blowout of a 1-2 journeyman over there in Germany. So we don't know. I think Saturday or Sunday we'll have to see. On the other corner is a guy who also has a lot of question marks. Now, this is Justice Siliga. He's got a record of 8 wins, 6 losses. He's a bit of an in and outer. You never know which Justice is going to show up. Now, the Venda Viper, as he calls himself, sometimes takes a bit of a long time to strike. He's kind of like Osborne Mashimana was in his younger days to me. Now, Osborne, he held his biggest win was over a faded version of Corrie Sanders. Osborne has spots where he looks like he's got some talent, where he really puts things together nicely. And then he just falls asleep, or sometimes he'll just stand there, follow a guy out of the ring and gets outworked. And Siliga is a bit like that. When he lets his hands go, he suddenly looks like, okay, here's some talent here. He puts his punches together nicely, there's some oomph in it. He's got a nice jab, but then he falls asleep again. It's like he doesn't want to commit to his punches. Now, he can look great for 30 seconds of a round, but he really fights for more than half a round. Now, I think he's got the talent to win on Sunday, but he doesn't put it all together. So I have to wonder, is he suffering from sparring partner syndrome, where he just doesn't believe in himself? Because he's got the right corner. Alan Tawil Jr. is in his corner. Tawil's, of course, a famous boxing family. But I think Alan's got his task cut out for him on Sunday. He'll have to light a massive fire underneath Siliga. If Siliga can go and let his punches go, because he's been out, he sat out in 2018, fights that didn't materialize, but now in 2019 he's had 2 fights, wins over Luke Sutherland, and most recently trading knockdowns in that fight against Josh Pretorius. So he's shaken off the ring rust. He's got a little bit of momentum. He's made those fights, I think, harder than it needed to be. He should have knocked those guys out, or at least, I think, Josh Sutherland, who was a comparative novice. So I think if he just puts it all together and lets his hands go, he can win. But he can't do it fighting for 30 seconds of a round. So who is going to win? For Justice Siliga is a big guy, he's a legit heavyweight. He's been knocked out by guys like Kevin Arena, the same Casito Ruann, who's also in and outer. But then he's also sometimes looked good. So if he can put it all together on Sunday, jab his way in, stay out of the way of a Ruann Visser right hand, that's the thing that can knock him out, and let his hands go and be busier, he can win this fight. Whether he's got the killer instinct to stop Ruann, I don't know. But then again, on the Ruann Visser side, he'll be in shape now. Not that he's always grossly out of shape, but he'll be in really good shape now. The 12-round distance, I don't believe, is going to be a problem. Ruann needs to do the very basics, which is use your jab consistently. Against Moyo, he was just sort of fainting with it. He never committed to it. It was just there. He's got to pop that jab now and throw the right hand behind that. If he does that, I think he can stop Siliga. But if he's going to sleepwalk through it like he did against Moyo, I think he's going to be in trouble. Now, it's a fight that could potentially turn out to be a stinker, where either guy waits for the other one to commit and doesn't want to take a chance. That sort of fight, I think Ruann will win, simply because he's a taller guy and he should land more. Let's hope it doesn't turn out that way. If Ruann uses his jab, sits down on it, waits for openings for those right hand, and is just a bit busier, I think he might go through a few rocky moments if Siliga is equally motivated and eventually get to him. Or if Siliga just goes and throws caution to the wind, with still keeping his hands up and watching for that right hand, he could win it. So it's a really, really 50 fight, because we don't know which version of either guy is going to show up. Now, if pushed, I've heard a lot of things going to weigh-ins at fights, and then I speak to previous opponents and so on. One of them said that if Justice just lets his hands go and fight, don't be so safety first, go and climb in, he could beat Ruann. Others have told me that Ruann Visser looks terrific in the gym, and once he is in the actual fight, he sort of deflates. That could be a psychological thing, it could be nerves. So I really don't know what's going to happen on Sunday. I'm interested in watching it. How much would we like an impressive win by either fighter? We really need a good heavyweight prospect in South African boxing. I think the guy who's more likely to do it is Ruann Visser, because Justice, the talent is there, the record is spotty. So if I put my head on the block here, I think Ruann will somehow have more confidence, because maybe his conditioning is going to be better. If he establishes his jab and he keeps going with his jab, then I think he can stop Justice after, let's say, 8 rounds or so, or win a clear points decision. If he's going to fight like he fought against Moyo, then it is up to Justice to let his hands go, and he can squeak home with a points decision. But my gut feel is that Ruann is going to let his hands go and he's going to survive a difficult moment here and there with Justice Siliga when he does open up those spots that he has when he really looks like something. But a leopard it's very hard to change a leopard's spots, if not impossible. And if anybody can do it, it would be Siliga's trainer, Alan Tawil. But I've been proven wrong a couple of times. I just don't think Siliga is going to be busy enough to get himself over the hump. So I'm going with Ruann Visser here winning a points decision or perhaps a late stoppage. But let's see if I'm wrong. Let's look what Andy Ruiz did. Justice can certainly do the same. He hasn't got nearly that big a task ahead of him. And I look forward to the boxing on Sunday. It's actually quite a good card. Vlad Sirenko, the Ukrainian prospect that's been around these shores for most of his career, facing Bakhtov from Russia, who's an experienced journeyman who's lost against all the top guys. Last time he was really blown away was against Anthony Joshua. So that'll be a good gauge about where Vlad Sirenko is. It's a small step up for him. Not a massive step, but it's a small step up. And then on the undercard, we also have Marius Matamba, who's a really good prospect. And we have a guy that used to be our prospect, Flo Simba, also there. So it's shaping up to be a really good card. And until we see each other again, please hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter at DrugsOnBoxing. And then I also write a blog, www.couchpotatofightguru.blogspot.com. Go check that out. And I'm also a correspondent for the Bible of Boxing Ring magazine. Until we see each other again, please keep those gloves up.